Let's go. Helping you win at work and win in life. This is the Ken Coleman Show. I'm going to help you make more income and more impact. More money, more meaning. It is possible. It's doable. And you watch Monday mornings be exciting for you. Again, I promise. All right, so let's dive into something that is now a cultural phenomenon, a phrase that originated somewhere in the interwebs, and then it blew up on TikTok. Quiet quitting. I've been on Fox News and talked about it. We've talked about it ad nauseum on this show, and yet we dive deeper again today because I really do want to get to the bottom of this phrase, quiet quitting, which describes a phenomenon that, quite frankly, is not new. Gallup, I believe the gold standard for polling organizations for years and years and years, over a decade, has done a poll every year to gauge engagement at work. And each year, for the last decade, at least, it comes back and it basically says that 68% of Americans are disengaged in their work. Now, that does not mean they hate their work. We're not talking about vitriol. We're talking about malaise. How about that for 2 words today, kids? Go look those up if you don't know what they are. Trying to make you a little bit better today. It's not venom. It's embalming fluid. How about that? Right? You just got a lot of zombies at work. They're disengaged. Well, now the term is called quiet quitting, which basically means we're only going to do the bare minimum. So whatever my boss asks me to do, I'm going to do the bare minimum. I'm not going to go above and beyond. I'm just going to do the bare minimum. So I've banged on this idea, this mindset, because it's a recipe for average. And average is a guarantee for frustration. I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you believe. This notion that average is okay, nobody feels that. Nobody. When was the last time you said, hey, babe, let's go out to an average restaurant for our date night? Hey, you want to go see a movie? Let's go get an average movie. Let's go watch an average movie. I mean, how many get excited about an average football team? Whoa, watch out. Now we're stepping on toes. Besides Nathan, but he has no other choice. The Vikings are the very definition of average. Oh, boy. I'm nervous about what's going to show up in the lower third. He's very powerful back there. Very powerful. All right. So we get that notion that average isn't okay. But I've said all this before. I want to go deeper. I don't believe anybody's saying this, so I'm going to say it. It needs to be said. Quiet quitters aren't lazy. They're lost. Now, a lot of public figures have come out and said some, bombastic things. Ariana Huffington said quiet quitting isn't just about quitting on a job. It's a step toward quitting on life. I don't disagree with that. Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank said, people who shut down their laptop at 5, they don't work for me. I hope they work for my competitors. He's banging on his chest, And I think if we reduce the quiet quitting issue, 68% of Americans disengaged on the job. If we dismiss it to laziness, we are putting our heads in the sand. And so leaders, I have leaders that watch and listen to the show. You need to pay attention to what I'm about to say. You need to reframe this disengagement. Does it present as laziness? Sure. Is there some laziness involved? Yeah. But as a whole, is this an issue of laziness? No. People aren't lazy, they're lost. Now, let's watch the progression. What do I mean by lost? 2 specific areas where they are lost at work. Number 1, meaning. They don't see a connection between their production, that includes the days that they go in, the hours that they spend, the effort that they expend. They don't see a connection between that and the results of their work. They don't see a connection between effort, results, and values. They just don't. That's your job as a leader to show them that. Now, and I speak to workers every day. It's your job to put yourself on the right seat of the bus, to find the right seat. But leaders, it's also your job for those that don't know how to find the right seat of the bus to go, hey, I'm going to drive up engagement by making sure that I've got people in a seat of the bus where they can use what they do best, to do work that they care about, to produce results that matter to them. This is not rocket science, leaders. I can tell you, though, when someone doesn't find meaning in their work, they do not see that their talents are being used to do something they enjoy, to produce results that matter deeply to them, I'm going to tell you right now, the job doesn't have meaning. Thus, they don't think their job matters. And the slippery slope is they begin to think that they don't matter. Let me say that again, because this is not emotion that I'm driving here. These are just the facts. The facts are that when someone doesn't see and feel and experience meaning in their work, they begin to believe that their job doesn't matter. And the scary, slippery slope that leads into depression and all kinds of nasty stuff is that they believe that they don't matter. You cannot overlook the fact that when a human being comes in and day out and does not find meaning, they believe that they don't matter. And when a person doesn't believe that they matter, they are in a danger zone. Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Those are the facts. Now, the second thing that is causing the quiet quitters to feel lost is no connection. No connection to humans. If they don't have friends in the workplace, or they are in a remote setting and they do not relate, that's the root word of relationship. So when they don't have friends, they don't have a boss who loves them in the form of valuing them and pouring into them and guiding them and coaching them. Let me tell you what happens. No connection. So if I have no meaning in my work and I have no connection in the form of relationship, let me tell you something. I feel as though I'm just wandering around, lost. Hide and go seek, but I don't even know what I'm seeking for. This is real. And so leaders, you got to wake up. We have a 4-alarm crisis. Next segment, I'm going to break it down. The Great Resignation is far from over. Staggering data. Where does it go from here? Until leaders understand that men and women are looking for meaning and purpose in their work. They are longing to be recognized for their unique contribution. Do you see me? Do you value me? And then they want a relationship with their leader and their coworkers. And when that doesn't exist, they're going to keep looking and keep wandering. Coming up next, is the Great Resignation over, and why or why not? Did you know that just like a product, you have a personal brand? It's the image or impression others form about you based on your interactions. And whether we realize it or not, our personal brand impacts opportunities to grow in our careers. That's why our team created the Personal Brand Survey. It's free, and it will give you personal and professional feedback so you can own your strengths and uncover any blind spots holding you back. To get started, go to kencoleman.com/brand. Of the people, by the people, for the people. I'm Ken. This is the Ken Coleman Show. My singular aim in this program is to help you realize that you were created to fill a unique role in your work. That means you are needed, and it means you must do it. Somebody out there needs you to show up and be the best version of you. Oh, by the way, you figure that out and do that, you'll make plenty of income. And more importantly, you'll feel tremendous impact and fulfillment in your work life and make the difference that your creator designed you to make. So to that end, I am always putting my money where my mouth is. New tools, new resources all the time. You've probably heard me mention digital marketing is a very, very attractive and hot industry career path. Lots of growth opportunities in the now and in the next. And some people feel like, oh, digital marketing, what kind of degree do I need for that? The answer, you don't. What you need is knowledge and experience, and I, as a man of the people, am bringing it to you. Details right here. RamseySolutions.com/marketing course is where you can go sign up for Digital Marketing 101, the latest in our cohorts that I'm bringing to you alongside my friends and partners at Ramsey Education. It's called Ramsey Career Academy. I am out to upskill adults on the budget, meaning you can afford it in your time and your money. It is budget conscious of your time and your money. I know how you people roll. I get it. You don't need to go to college. I'm joined by my friend Andy High, who's Ramsey Solutions Senior Digital Marketing Officer. This dude's a brilliant man, and he and I co-teach the ins and outs of digital marketing, including the most critical soft skills you need to develop, to set yourself apart. If you want to move up or you want to get in and then move up, this course is for you. Digital Marketing 101. Go to RamseySolutions.com/marketing course. That's RamseySolutions.com/marketing course. Go, go, go. All right. The Great Resignation continues to chug along. The share of unemployed Americans who quit or voluntarily left their jobs rose to 15.9% in September, suggesting that people who leave a job feel confident they can find a new one. Though more than 4.2 million people quit their jobs in August, just 898,000 job leavers were reported as unemployed that month. The median period for which Americans stay unemployed right now is 8.3 weeks, the lowest level in 20 years. So the Great Resignation, if you're unfamiliar with the term, I've been talking about it so much, I just assume everybody knows about it, but it's a term that economists came up with to describe the overwhelming record amounts of people, okay, who quit their jobs each month for the last 13, 14, 15 months. It's unprecedented, and I hate using that word because it's been overused. But you're talking about 4+ million people leaving their jobs. And again, in my desire to inform you folks, understand that this is what is driving stubborn inflation. The average pay increase for somebody who leaves their job to take another job right now is around 15% pay bump. Corporations are passing those costs along to the consumers. So anybody who thinks that Jerome Powell and all the other boneheads at the Fed are going to fix inflation by raising our interest rates, I got some oceanfront property just outside of Phoenix I'd like to entertain you with. I keep it real here, folks. Now, okay, so here's what's interesting. So we've got this weird, you remember the movie The Perfect Storm? Did you ever see that movie, Alex, with George Clooney? That's terrible, terrible. Great movie, terrible story. It's heartbreaking. It's awful, okay? But that the Perfect Storm is a description of where you had two storms, and this happens from time to time, depending on the region of the world, that can come together at once. Two big supercells come together for a massive storm. And I really believe that we are in a perfect storm in our job economy right now. So one big supercell is the Great Resignation that's been really going on since, let's call it the third or fourth quarter of 2020. All of 2021. And here we are in October of 2022, and we're still seeing record numbers of people leave their jobs. So you got this big surge of jobs available, people leaving, demand's high, and people are just playing musical chairs. The little game we used to play in elementary school. You know, people leaving. And so some people leave, they got to replace them, and it's driving up wages and hourly rates. And so here we stand. So that's causing inflation in a big way. Okay? Now, on the other side, we've got the quiet quitting among the younger generations that talk about this. You got people becoming less productive, and companies are looking at all this. They're going, okay, if I'm going to pay you more to work from home, I'm going to monitor your keyboard, and I'm monitoring your computer or the software. We're seeing an unprecedented amount of companies that are tracking their employees. And I hate that. I hate it, and I'm a man of the people, and I'm going to rail against it. If you're a leader and you're doing that, you're weak, you're pathetic, you're wrong. You don't gain trust by monitoring adults like they're kids. We have 3 kids. They were toddlers once. Yes, we monitored them. We had cameras on their crib, but those were babies. This is nannyship, not leadership. It is doing the opposite of what you think you're doing. It is not creating boundaries. It is not creating productivity and trust. In fact, it is creating distrust and resentment because adults don't want to be treated like kids. Duh. It's mind-blowing, the leadership idiocy that is in our country. Smart men and women running big companies, very smart, smarter than me. But I tell you what they aren't. They aren't people smart. Gee whiz, Ken, you're a little fired up today. Do you mean all that? Yeah, I mean it. I absolutely mean it. So we see reports. Productivity is down 4.1% on an annualized basis, the biggest decline since the government started keeping track of the number back in 1948. By the way, why are we keeping track of productivity? While I'm banging on stuff, let me tell you how stupid that is. Why do we have to track productivity? Why don't we just track results? It's like standardized testing in our American school system. That's the stupidest thing of all time. It's big business. It's a multi-billion-dollar business that's all about politics. Why do we got to stress our teachers and our kids out for standardized tests? Well, Ken, we need to measure the learning progress of our kids. That's called a report card. It's called grades. If a kid's getting a D in English, I know that something's off. I don't need to give him a standardized test at the end of the year. Gosh, I wish I had a live studio audience that could say amen and jump up and down and clap because I know they would. I didn't mean you had to do that, those of you out there. I'm just saying, am I right? I'm absolutely right. Why are we measuring productivity? Why don't we measure results? I mean, I get it. I'm having a little bit of fun with this. But see, when I'm trying to measure someone's productivity, I am monitoring them. When I'm measuring someone's results, I am liberating them. Oh, woo! That's good. I'm so excited. I hit the mic. Let me say that again. I just came up with that. Somebody write that down. When I am monitoring someone, I'm holding them back, right? But when I'm tracking productivity, it's all about monitoring. When I am tracking results, it's about liberating people to just go do what I've asked you to do. Go get it done. See, that's leadership. So why is productivity dropping? I'm going to tell you why. People are feeling devalued. People are feeling monitored. It's back to what we talked about in the first segment. People aren't lazy. Productivity is not dropping because people are lazy. Productivity is dropping because people are lost and they don't feel valued. This is a leadership problem. Lead! So I'll take care of itself. So you just landed the new job. Congratulations. You've made it past the interviews and now it's time to onboard with excellence. That's why I created How to Stand Out at Your New Job. This free checklist will help you succeed from day one and may even help you get promoted. These practical steps set you up to add value, help your team win, exceed your leaders' expectations, and ultimately set you up for a successful transition. To get started, just go to kencoleman.com/new. All right, folks, welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show. I am officially fired up right now, and I'm about ready to light a bad boss up. I never saw this coming. I didn't. I mean, a year ago, if you asked me I was doing this, I'd say, well, I don't know if I'm going to do it. But I really love doing it now because I don't mind being Paul Revere or Patrick Henry. Look them up if you don't know who they are, for heaven's sakes. I'm afraid we're not teaching kids these days who those two great patriots were. But I'm going to rail against what I call bad bossery. And this is an example. Headline from MSN.com, CEO laughs off unfair job conditions, loses entire department responsible for $100 million worth of deals. Well, of course he did. What? This is happening. This is why I'm saying, folks, the world of work is shifting beneath our feet. And I'm telling you, the people are rising up. They are just making bad bosses pay, and I'm here for it. Many employees who feel underappreciated by the bosses go so far as showcasing their successes without boasting in order to be acknowledged. In a job, feeling underappreciated or unappreciated can take different forms. When a worker has consistently performed well at a job but still has not received a promotion, it just leads to deflation. They just deflate. A similar experience happened to a Reddit user. His username, Department Killer. Oh, boy. I like that. There we go. See what's happening? This guy definitely feels, or this gal feels like, oh no, it's a guy. Okay. Feels undervalued, and he's, I'm David. I'm taking down Goliath. That's exactly what that is. Okay. After his company had employed him for a while, management refused to give him and other employees a raise. What's worse is their bosses openly made fun of anyone who thought about leaving, claiming they wouldn't be able to find anything better. Now, folks, this is just open disrespect. It's this open case of not treating people with dignity. The nerve to laugh at people and say, well, you're not going to find anything better. So here's the story. This is from his Reddit thread. My old company was a fairly large real estate investment trust, roughly $10 billion. I was a part of a very niche M&A shop that was typically the black sheep of the company. It felt like anything we did was just a hassle, and it wasn't really worth the company's time to entertain our acquisitions anymore. I was part of a minuscule size deal team. There were 3 of us, including myself, who closed about 60 deals per year. Every year, the company has a meeting where the entire company, 300 people, meets at a hotel. As a part of this event, anyone in the company is allowed to send in anonymous questions to the CEO, and he will read or respond if he thinks it's something worth talking about. So I decided to submit a question. How do you plan to retain, because 5 people had resigned from other departments in the company. Here's his question. How do you plan to retain talent when there are other companies offering 2 times the money with half the workload? The CEO decided this question was hilarious and read it aloud, laughing, and responded, if you find that job, with finger quotes, you better take it. Goodbye. Okay. All right. So we got a little tennis match here. Like, you're going to fire that question at me. I'm going to come back at you. After being treated pretty terribly the last 1.5 years, I decided that was the final nail in the coffin. I spoke with one of the recently resigned coworkers about his new company, and soon after, a recruiter from his company reached out to me. I went through the interview process and got the job. I more than doubled my pay when taking the 20% end-of-year bonus into account, and I even got a $10,000 signing bonus. Now, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier in the program. Right here. Okay? People leaving, getting signing bonuses, plus a bump in pay. Okay? And this is the competitive world we are in right now. You know, when I grew up I'm a child of the 80s. I grew up in the 80s. The big thing was Russia and the United States, right? It was the space arms race, and both countries were trying to outrace each other to get more, Star Wars, the idea of, nuclear weapons in the sky, and it was a race, and who was going to outspend who, and who was going to be the biggest, baddest country on the planet. And so it was just this race. It was one up, one up, one up. And that's what's going on with workers and salaries right now. There's real estate employees. Another firm's coming in and grabbing them, giving them a 20% bump and paying a $10,000 signing bonus. This is real. But more importantly, the CEO who has his head in the sand, who's arrogant and doesn't care, because here's the deal. Even if the CEO doesn't think that the person who submitted this anonymous question can do that, why would you read it and then scoff about it? So first things first, I'm all about free speech. I'm all about you got your right to your opinion. I'm all for that. Okay. But as a leader, what do you hope to gain by reading that question aloud in front of the entire company and then laughing it off? It's like you're daring people to leave you. What's the point of that? And to me, it's a stunning lack of awareness to be able to read the room, or maybe it's a stunning demonstration of arrogance where you know how it's going to come across and you don't care. It's probably the latter. I also, as I gave notice to my wonderful manager who taught me everything I know, and this is the sad part. This guy is recounting leaving a leader, a manager that he really loves. CEO, arrogant, clueless, a lack of awareness, hurts not only him, but his own leadership team. This is a person leaving a manager that he actually loves. I gave notice to my wonderful manager who taught me everything I know. She first told me she hates that I'm leaving, then confides that after 7 years of working at the company, she's ready to move to greener pastures as well. The final coworker standing was not hard to convince, as he saw 52 deals suddenly pile onto his desk while he was already underwater doing the same 80-hour weeks that I was doing. I worked with him to help him spruce up his resume. After 2 interviews, he was given the verbal job offer with an in-writing letter expected next week. All said and done, all 3 of us left. The 3 people in the division, in the team, left. All of them doubling their salaries. Every year, bad leadership costs organizations billions of dollars and so much time beyond the money. Just the time and effort to replace people, productivity dropping. And in this case, who knows how much money was lost because all 3 people walked. Because an arrogant leader, whether he was clueless in his arrogance or he was intentional in his arrogance, devaluing people devalues companies. And I don't know when leaders are going to look up and figure it out. I reported on this show not too very long ago from an internal memo at Amazon. In multiple marketplaces, Amazon executives are worried that they're going to burn through people that or even be able to work for them because the burnout and the dropout rate is so high. They're saying we in the Phoenix area may run out of people who could actually work for us. Arrogance, a lack of awareness, treating people as though they are nothing more than pawns on your chessboard of your corporation. And it is going to catch up. If you devalue people, leaders, listen to me, you are eventually, and maybe quicker than you realize, devaluing your own company. I think that this goes back to the pandemic, and it forced a reset in so many of our lives, in multiple areas of our lives. And I think people said, hey, life is too short to do work that does not matter to me, to do it in a place where I am not valued. And the sands have shifted, leaders, and you're going to sink quickly if you don't wake up and start loving people.
You were created to fill a unique role through your work, but it can feel overwhelming to figure out what that is. That's why I created the Get Clear Career Assessment. In just 15 minutes, you'll get customized results that clarify what you do best, the work you love to do, and the results that motivate you. All this helps you discover what you were born to do. And you'll get a list of professional possibilities to help you in your job search. To get started, go to kencoleman.com/assessment.
Oh, yeah. Putting the juice back in your Monday through Friday. I am Ken. This is the Ken Coleman Show. You want the juice? Then figure out how to use what you do best to do work you love, to produce results that matter to you, and watch your life improve in so many different areas. I want to say hello to our YouTube crazies. These are the men and women who watch live on YouTube. They are in the chat room, many of them. I want to point out that our chief YouTube crazy, Gary Spratt, is in the house today, sitting out in front of the double-paned glass. He is here, so I always love our YouTube crazies. That will make them excited, Gary. Did you tell them that you were coming today? No, he just drops in from time to time. And so all of the jealousy will start to pop up any moment in the chat room. But let's get to Kelly in Dallas, Texas. Kelly, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Ken, how are you, sir?
I am living the dream, Kelly. How can I help?
Short and sweet. Ken, I love what I do. I'm a fitness professional. I've been doing that for about 4.5 years. I'm 54. My background was in sales. And it was actually due to a job loss that I was put in a position that I finally turned a passion into profession. Last year, I made about 70 gross, and there is the potential to make more. The challenge is, at my age, I need to be making a lot more money. I need a bigger shovel.
What's that number?
Ken, I want to be making over $100,000 a year. Okay. I mean, I'd love to make $10,000 a month. Cool. I'm fortunate in that I have no debt, but I'm behind on saving for retirement, and I need a bigger shovel at this point.
Okay. And are you a physical trainer? Is that what you're doing?
I do fitness training. I do nutrition coaching. I really do life coaching. It's all free.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, here's the deal. So when I get presented with this situation, Ken, I love my job, I love what I do, but I want to make more money. My first thought is not go into a sales job, because you're going to get over there and undoubtedly you're going to make more money. And I'm okay with that, but then how would you replace that passion? Because if you go from I'm doing this that I love and I'm going to go over here and do something that I don't love but I'm making more money, I'm okay with that as long as we're spending a good chunk of your week doing something that you do love. Now that's the only way that I'm for you going into the sales job. Now, if you go into a sales job where maybe you're selling fitness equipment, fitness products, fitness services that you care deeply about and that you endorse, I can see that as an extension, because now you are evangelizing a product or service that you've used or that you believe in. I like the connection there. So if you're going to go into sales to make more money, you better be selling something that you care deeply about. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I think that's an option. So a sales job in the fitness product or service industry, great. And then maybe you still do a little bit of physical training on the side just because you can. That's
right.
Now, the other option is you go, what would need to be true for me to make $100,000 by expanding my offerings or raising my level of clientele? Have you run that exercise in your head?
Just to kind of give you kind of an idea, if I did in my club, if I did 30 sessions a week, 50 weeks out of the year, my take home would still be like roughly 90 gross.
Okay, but I'm not saying, I love this exercise. I love that you threw something back at me, but I've got about a minute with you and I want to challenge you. I would stop thinking as simple as you have. And I'm not being unkind. I'm saying you just looking at, well, I have to do this many training sessions and I'm still not going to get to 100. I'm saying, wait a second. Who are my higher end clientele where I can do maybe some actual exercise training, plus I'm their full-time nutritionist, or maybe I'm taking care of a small business who wants their people to be healthy and they've got the additional income to do it, and I become the nutritionist for a small business. I got to start thinking bigger. And when I think bigger, I see better opportunities. Do you understand where I'm going here?
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
Instead of increasing the amount of time you work, I'm saying let's increase our margin.
Value.
Yes, and value. I want you to work that out first. I think we have two good options, two paths that we discussed that can work. I'm fine with the sales job as long as you're selling something that you care deeply about. But if not, it's like, wait a second. How do I increase my income by increasing my value? This is the Ken Coleman Show.
Did you know that recruiters take an average of 6 seconds to scan a resume? And that's if they ever see it in the first place. In fact, 75% of resumes are rejected before reaching a hiring manager. Listen, folks, if you want to get hired, you've got to make your resume worth noticing. That's why we created How to Write the Perfect Resume. This free guide will walk you through the 5 steps to stand out in the hiring process to get you your dream job. If you want to get started, go to kencoleman.com/resume.
Welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show. Hey, we are growing, and if you enjoy listening or watching this program, subscribe, share. We would be so grateful for it. Growing like crazy. We want as many people as possible to know about this content where they can be equipped, encouraged, and entertained. By the way, would you spend $10 to get really, really clear on what it is you were created to do? This is the Get Clear Assessment. This is a physical printout. You don't have to do that. It's all digital, where you can measure your talent, what you do best, your passion, what work you love to do, and your mission, what results motivate you, all in one report, detailed out, lots of ideas for you, and more importantly, a purpose statement that allows you to have a filter and a compass all in one powerful statement that is uniquely based on you. The Get Clear Assessment's only $10 at kencoleman.com. It's normally $30. Get it now. It's only in the month of October. I can't afford to keep giving it away for $10. I got to eat, man. $10, kencoleman.com, the Get Clear Assessment. Go get it. By the way, the YouTube crazies got all excited that Gary's here. I guess he stopped in on his vacation. Is this true? Can this not your vacation? Okay, you people are wrong. You don't know as much about Gary as you think you do. But there was an idea, Gary, that has been thrown out in the chat room, and I want to endorse it quickly, then we move on to the phones. They were talking about a gathering, a YouTube crazy gathering where as many as want can come descend upon the show. We'll have all kinds of chairs out for you. You can watch the show live in the lobby, and I'll have lunch with you. That's what we'll do. We'll go down, we'll get a room back there, and we'll have the YouTube crazies. We'll all eat lunch together and have a big time. So there you go, Gary. It's up to you to organize, or as the chief crazy, you can delegate that to someone. We'll see how that goes. So there you go. Grant Lowry said Gary needs a guest appearance where he can do a paper crinkle. So what we'll do is we'll let everybody, if we do a gathering, we'll get everybody a piece of paper, Amanda, and we'll do a group crinkle, and it'll blow everybody's mind. There you go. All right, Oliver is up next in Chicago, Illinois. Oliver, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken, how's it going?
I am living the dream. What are you doing?
Nothing much. Question for you. So I'm in my early 20s, graduating this December, and I have a job that I absolutely love that pays well. I have a lot of money saved up, investing 15% of my income, and life's good. But the only problem is I have another passion that I really want to follow, and the cost to follow that passion is extraordinarily high.
What is the passion?
I just wanted to I wanted to be a pilot.
Okay.
And it's going to cost a minimum of $100,000 to $150,000 to pursue that passion.
Is that? I've heard this call before. and this blows my mind. And so this particular call, I want to dig a little bit, if that's okay. If you'll educate me a bit. Does that mean to fly privately, or does that mean to fly commercially for one of the big airlines? What is that, or is it all of the above?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple different ways you can go, but essentially you have to get your individual licenses. So kind of like how you get an endorsement on a driver's license, might be kind of similar with a pilot's license. So you have to start out with your private license, and then you build different licenses to get up to the point where, in my passion, would be to fly a commercial airliner. Okay,
and the training for that is over $100,000.
Yeah, so at the low end of the spectrum, it's 100 at a minimum, and then because of different regulations that the FAA has and stuff, after you attain all your licenses, you still have to spend probably between it's an hour amount, so you have to get up to 1,500 hours, which for most people takes between a year to 2 years to accumulate all those hours. So on top of spending $100,000 for your flight training, you also then have to try to accumulate these hours by either renting expensive planes or becoming a flight instructor. So the whole process could take 3 to 4 years. But on top of that, you're already, a lot of money in the hole. But the way I want to go is I don't want to go in debt. So I'd be cash flowing it, which is another reason why I'm kind of hesitant to do it. Well, I have a decent amount saved up. I cash flowed my college, and I mean, I have no worries.
How much do you have saved up?
So I have about $55,000 saved up.
So what's the issue? You were about ready to say the only issue is, and how can I help?
Well, the only issue is how long it takes. So I guess my question for you is, is it worth switching careers and, spending anywhere between 4 to 5 years to do the proper training?
Yes.
To become a pilot?
Yeah. You're talking to a guy who took 7 years to get to Ramsey Solutions, and then I paid my dues for another 3 years to step into my dream job. I was in my early 30s before I started pursuing broadcasting. It took a long time, man. What do you think my answer was going to be?
I was thinking it was going to be that, which is kind of why I called.
Attaboy. It's absolutely worth the wait. I've never met anybody who did anything of tremendous significance that didn't have to wait. Takes time. And I get your emotion. You're presenting right now, correct me if I'm wrong, like a guy who's going 3 to 4 years. Oh my gosh, I can't do it. Is that what it feels like?
Yeah, it feels like 3 to 4 years and having to come up with a lot of money and not having a job. Yeah.
That's called the price of admission.
Yeah.
You can do it. You already got 55 in the bank. Here's what you have to do. Let's play an alternate game. Let's just say that a few minutes ago I said, why would you wait 4 or 5 years and cash flow your way through that? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Just go get a job. Stay in the good paying job you got now. You got a great 401k. You got great health benefits. Go get yourself a hobby, man. Go play racquetball and get over it. Well, let's assume that that's what I said. Now let's fast forward. 25 years from now, how old are you?
21.
You're 21. Let's fast forward 25 years from now. You're 46. And you never pursued flying. You're no closer to flying the friendly skies at 46 than you are today. What do you think that emotion is going to be like? What do you think you're going to be feeling about your life? Take a wild guess. Let's go there.
I would say that there would be a lot of regret in looking back.
And resentment. Let's add the other nasty R word. Yeah. Ugh. Anybody ever been swimming in a pool of regret and resentment at the same time? Anybody? If you haven't, how do you think that sounds? You know what it's like? It's like the time that I got in the pool with my brother and my cousin. I'll never forget it, Alex. Remember the cheap little pool? Very excited. I was 5. My brother was... I was 6. My brother would have been 3, and the cousin was probably about 4. Very excited. We didn't have much growing up. It's a hot day. Mom went and bought the pool. I'll never forget it. I'm 48. I can still remember it like it happened yesterday, Amanda. Very excited. Had to wait. Come on, Dad. Come on, get the pool out. Put the hose in. The hose took forever to fill up the pool. Get all excited. We get in. 2 minutes after getting in the pool, guess what my cousin did? Pooped in the pool. I got little turds floating all over the place. I got to get out. Resentment and regret. That's what it feels like. 46. Geez, man. It's what it is. It's bitter disappointment. Now, when you're 6 years old, that's a big deal. Couldn't get in the pool. Why do I got to get out of the pool? Well, because look what's floating around. Get out of the pool. It's disgusting. Okay? This is the idea. And young man, listen, I don't want you to be 46 years of age and you're just sitting in the pool of life and turds floating around you and you got regret and resentment, because that's emotionally what it's going to be. So you got $55,000 saved. Go get a second job, a third job. Work your freaking butt off. You're 21. I'm so proud of you. You were in a great position to be at 25, 26 in your dream job. It's absolutely worth the freaking wait. And while I'm at it, can I just say to whoever needs to hear this, we have a shortage of pilots. There's some smart people out there who ought to figure out how to do this for a whole lot less money. If I'm one of these airlines, I'm hearing this call and I'm going, come on, kid, we'll subsidize you because we need you. This is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.
Thanks for listening to the Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.